ways of like identifying people that
System check, 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and try to get into the shot, David.
okay.
So currently, this is David Trayman and Jack Siegel, and we are just spitballing. And
Hi, my name is David, and then this is the house that houses me.
so we were discussing how to be more engaged, and in case you look at the previous videos, those have been taken down because his wife had concerns about the baby, and
Which you won't be seeing anytime soon.
Yes, unless he
you see
goes
him in
into
person.
or show business, at which point now his mom's like, yeah, put him up now. So it'd be interesting. But you know, if you kind of wonder about him sometimes, like when I was reviewing footage, I'm like, he's not engaged, oh my gosh. And then his wife was discussing, is there a way to edit him out and remove him?
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, you know, hey, what if we ever get famous and we get interviewed and they look at the clips, it's like, yeah, you're holding just an object there. You know,
It was
wipe out the
fuzzy.
sound, yeah.
With fuzziness and muffled noise object.
Or conversely, there's like the, you know, Google, that you can like go in and erase people out of it, and it'd be interesting to erase sounds. And so it'd be interesting just like see you kind of like, because there's images where you're just kind of like focused, and then you may have a baby.
An object.
Yeah,
A fuzzy
and no, but the thing is like, imagine it being completely removed, right? And then it's just like,
An
like,
object of
and just imagine someone else looking at this later, it's like, yeah, so we did some research on you guys, and like, what were you holding, David?
And I have to give a fictitious name.
I was holding the nothing, or yeah, it's like, this is where you say, my son. Yeah, and, like, what? Yeah, no, we edited him out. Like, how? No, and so right now we're trying to just have one sit down and see about growth before. Again, my bad, as in preparations, I need to find a day to just do preparations, send it to him, and coordinate. So, sorry, there's, I can be bad, I can be sad, I can be mad, but there's the ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-ba-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-da-bum, and it's a song that would have worked very well if it's prepared. But in this case, it's more talking and trying to bring in that focus where, it's removed down. We've removed the 3 clips because the respecting his wife and the privacy of the child. But in one of them, David and I, we sat down and did an ad-lib clip with the counseling session.
Counseling session.
And so he was very engaged, and I thought that was pretty good. And it's like borrowing from experiences, and that's kind of sometimes how life is. That's how acting is. It's you take from your experiences. And then it's, you know, how do you do crazy? And sometimes it's just practice. I think Christopher Walken mentioned that he just pretends. Jim Carrey, I would just imagine that he spent time in a mirror and just thought of the craziest thing ever and did it. Like, for example, me, I'm like trying to get an idea of like, hey, what does this look like? But because I only have a fuzzy image as opposed to like, I know what that looks like, it's probably having a bigger monitor would be good or interesting, which may be a different plan sometime. No, because someone mentioned like, hey, we have this like computer screen. It's like, hey, that will be interesting because now you have immediate feedback. I'm afraid to throw you under the bus and say, hey, Dave, so where would you like to go today?
Since we took down the counseling scene, could we do the counseling scene either again or like a modification of it?
Yeah,
we can try to improve it.
Yeah, well, it's a question of what did you take from the last one? Oh, I have stuff written here.
Oh no! If you have stuff written,
No. It's
let's
going.
Let's go off of this. Let's stick to the script.
No, it's
because it looks like it looks like you did do quite a bit of script here.
Plans for world domination, pizza recipe. Do you want pizza recipe? Anchovy pizza. Oh God. Playing off the skit from last week. No, yeah, okay, so that was actually a fun question because there's the, you know, for example, the counseling session. There's, I think, I don't know if it's Adam Sandler, maybe it's Billy Crystal and Al Pacino. but basically it was a mafioso person and his therapist.
Mhm.
And you know there was that dynamic versus, you know, maybe
I don't
there's
think Al Pacino did any counseling sessions, so the actual one now would be unique.
so
Does he have his weapons, for example? How many does he have?
there's always been like I think I was talking with someone earlier and we were making a joke out of it, but this is what happens when I don't have sleep because the brain starts going and just drops off and I'm like I'm just stuck in the middle of nowhere.
But you got the caffeine boost that comes in.
Yeah, that doesn't help. That just makes me awake enough to go like, yeah, I'm lost, David. How about you?
Excited and lost.
Yes. Yeah. No. And so, what do you feel?
Adventurous.
So I guess you start off with first, like, what did you get from the counseling session? Obviously, that's the joke, but for as like skill development, you took a look at it. How did you feel you did, and what do you think you could take from it and do differently or improve? And maybe it might be multiple aspects now. Like, do you want to do humor? Do you want to do more serious? Right?
I just had a friend this week that got released from like an ADD from his counselor.
Yeah.
He had ADD, so it's like kind of like thinking that glad for him, you know, just got released from that, so he doesn't have to keep on taking like the medication and stuff like that. But
I'm afraid of people looking at me. It's like, no, Jack seems fine. Like,
no, it's some other guy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like your friends. Like, what's the, like, how bad is his ADD?
No, it's
I joke.
it was,
about
it was barely
It's-
noticeable. Yeah, when I met him, it's maybe a couple months ago, and then it's just gotten better.
How old is he?
He's like in his 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, which happens a lot with people in their 20s. You know, it's kind of a normal, semi-normal occurrence with people in their 20s. Yeah. With the counseling session,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of would want to brainstorm it with, like, more than just me.
Well, sometimes it's just plain, right? And so the cool thing is when you do it in your head, you can kind of rehearse and kind of think like, and kind of move it along really quickly. When you're working with other people, now it's like the coordination. So ad-libbing will be like a basic prompt, like, hey, Jack, and so I need to work with you in terms of you give me a prompt and I stick more strictly with that within certain confines, right? Like 5 minutes, we kind of start with, where did you want to go this time with the counseling session?
Yeah, so with
Let me grab that.
with the counseling session, I was inspired by like a very old, ancient Chinese idea.
Yeah.
It's like from a, I think it was a poet or something like that. But there's actual sentences in Chinese that are like thousands of years old, where it's like a guy was asking like, he had a dream or something about being a butterfly, and like he woke up asking himself, am I a man that dreamed he was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming he was a man? This is like thousands of years old. Like a guy imagining that, and it's still there's like references even that I've come across, but I was inspired by the idea, but that inspiration is frankly gone. So I don't have the inspiration from that idea anymore, and that was the basis of that counseling session that we did last week.
It's gone, or is it more like you played with the idea? You're like, hey, this is interesting, and now you're like,
Yeah, it's like you played it. I played through it,
Yeah.
and now it's played out.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much it.
okay,
Yeah, the guy's name is like Zhuangzi, but yeah, like
Okay.
my Zhuangzi dreaming it was a butterfly, or butterfly dreaming he's Zhuangzi. All that.
yeah,
It's fleeted like a Chinese dream, you know.
you're good. So, okay, is it more like you're ad-libbing, spitballing, like between us, like, hey, how can we do with it differently?
Yeah, like that was the basis of the inspiration of the counseling session, because then the counselor like listens to the nonsense, but then like later on the counselor was like kind of like uncertain about his own role. So it's just like I don't know where to take the next
Actually,
session.
that might be fun because what I was going to do was write down beforehand, but again, there's stuff into my office.
Okay. We'll do a
Oh, no, no.
counseling session,
Mhm.
not on a bed, not on a easy couch thing, but on a chair.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
works. The essence is not so much as in a counseling session as it is I guess.
The counseling itself.
No, it's okay. So part of it is what's the intention here? So, you know, is it meant to be instructional? Is it meant to be therapeutic? it meant to, go zany off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start with the basic essence of scene, counseling session. Okay, idea, right? What if a terrorist organization comes in? You're like, okay, now, do you want it to be like funny? Do you want to be crazy? Do you want it being absurd? And so now you define what each one is.
A terrorist organization from where? I think that'll be a good
Cobra
place to
Commander, right? And he's
What-
like breaking in, and he's like,
start. Cobra Commander.
yeah.
Sounds very like, yeah, on our
The
hemisphere.
Serpentor
things.
is like, this I command, but then it's like trying to get the right essence, and then it's like, I have just enough of
Cobra
it
Command.
to maybe work with it. Well, that's Serpentor, right? Cobra Commander is like, yes, I'm here for my counseling session today with Dr. Schweichen. And obviously that would probably be a joke later with using, but that's going to bother my voice. And so, you go like, hey, do we want to play with this thing or not?
I probably can. Yeah, let's play with that. I probably
What?
won't. I probably won't be able to imitate that accent though.
No, and so it's there's one aspect where we actively play and do it. Another is, it's just like, man, that'd be funny.
Okay,
That
let's
being
try.
said,
Let's
oh
try.
dear God.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah.
Okay, so here it goes.
At least he's engaged. I'm appreciative of that. And
Hi, I'm Dr. Schweichner. I'm here for my counseling session.
Doctor, I would have imagined that you would be working with me.
Who said I wanted to work with you? They just sent me over here. I'm supposed to get some clearance from you so I can go on with the next operation. I'm wanting the operation to go successful, but I need your signature. Here, I brought some paperwork. Sign it!
I feel so confused right
Sign it!
I will not take this as Cobra Commander. The accent, right? This is absurd. You dare challenge me, the king of the world, the greatest terrorist ever. Like, when was the last time you did a successful terrorist operation? Silence!
Just sign it!
I will sign this, but only if you join my legions of doom.
Wait.
Yes.
You have a... Sit down.
Half made. Do you want the other half now
Wait.
or never?
Your legions of doom, tell me about it.
They're legions, and they bring doom.
Like the video game? I've been wanting to play that video game for a long time.
Tell me more about this video game.
No, you tell me. You're the one that they bring it. You say that they bring it.
We bring doom as in destruction.
I'm not interested in that. Okay, just sign it. Man, all I wanted was...
Wait, I must get you into my legions of doom, unless you have inadequate replacements.
If you don't have the video game, I'm
Doctor.
out of here.
And see,
I got your
right.
signature.
Well,
I got it.
technically, I didn't sign anything, so it's like I did half of it.
Were you just kind of like waving at it?
Well, it's more
So
like,
like-
I did half of it.
So-
Joke's
so-
on
so
you!
come back. Like, come back. What? You didn't sign it.
Well, on the plus side, your wife's gonna look at this and be like, no, this is perfect. Like,
This blasted pen.
oh God. Just a random aside because the OSHA and everything. No, that could have bounced into my eye, so just be careful with that. No, you're like, how's that gonna? My whole thought
It
when
doesn't
that
bounce.
bounced.
This is not a ball, okay?
No. Just all kidding aside, it's just one of those like when you're in the moment, right? Which is good. I'm like, wow. Like if you see the other ones, you're more laconic, more like you just went absurd in a very amazing way, right? And so it's like a high five moment, and you
Thank you.
win out, right? But the thing is, like sometimes you just have to be careful, right? Because like me, I'm like looking at it like, yeah, obviously, like, yeah, touchdown, right? Can you imagine like spiking football and then someone else with that helmet, like you're whacking it? You're like, man, that'd be horrible. But the thing that came to mind is like as I was watching, he's like, man, that was cool, and like, oh my God, what if that like bounced high enough? And I'm like, let's keep going with the show. Jack, your eyes
Oh,
bleeding. we're doing this, David. 5:30 is 7 o'clock. Jack, can we stop? Get the.
I limited the strength that went into that pen.
Yeah, no, and so it's just that was the concern, right?
Okay.
And so just keep in mind.
Spike it somewhere else. It could have been better.
And again, you got into this crazy place, which is good, right? No, in a good sense. So what is crazy? So you're making faces. It's like, how did you feel about that?
It was like being out at sea, and then like the currents just take you.
Yeah. No.
Whether it's the ocean currents or whether it's the air currents.
I guess if you have a sail set up, that would be more impactful versus the ocean currents. Only from a very practical kind of consideration. Mm-hmm. No, that was good. I liked it because it's like I got to see you coming out, and so I think you had some concerns about being able to be an actor that brought it, right? And so that's kind of it. It's can you take that energy and bring it up on demand? And so right now I'm feeling very low key because I'm not feeling very energized. And so sometimes it's like you're not feeling energized or I'm not feeling energized.
That's because you have a job and I don't.
No, well, you're getting sleep. And that might be one thing. Or it might be the whole thing. You're like, let's play with this. I'm like, I don't feel action. I'm like,
and I just had a bunch of caffeine yeah.
Like how much of that did you, okay, there's 300 milligrams the whole cat.
I'm halfway through.
Okay. he brought it. Okay, so that was more absurd kind of like spitballing, ad-libbing. And so you guys, people in general, start learning that dynamic. So the reason that we start going through, say for example, anger or doing the emotional things first is so that way we can be like, hey, this is how we're supposed to be on scene. This is like the specific emotions. So that way, if there's a direction like, hey, I need you guys to be sad or very expressive. What sort of expressions? Bashful, disgusted, shameful. Like, what are we looking at? When you were working at Cold Stone Ice Cream as your first job and like your crush came in and you completely ruined it because it was her date coming in and you're like,
you give her something she was allergic to.
That too, probably. And the thing is, if you're truly evil, which might have been how Cobra Commander recruited you, like, what was the most evilest thing you've done, David? Well, when I was working at Cold Stone Ice Cream years ago as a teenager, the person I had a crush on came in. I don't know where you're going with this, but I'll give you space. And, I looked at her and she was with her date. Did you murder him? Well, I tried to murder her.
Did you remember what she was allergic to?
Like how? Allergies. Really? What do you mean? Is that recording? No. And so it's that question, right? As you commit. No, yeah, okay, so you know the square box versus the round. So, really? And how? Well, I remember her having nut allergies, and so I was like taking trail mix before, and I was like, that's gonna kill her. And I like this person, so that would probably be a bad first date impression at all, And, come to find out, she brought in a date, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I've been seeing this person forever. And I was like, yeah, this ends today. Tonight. And Cobra Commander like, what? Like what? I thought you needed evil. Not that sort of evil. David, you're a little bit too much of a Cobra Commander. I will honor this inside it, but perhaps you need more counseling, doctor.
He gave me the real signature. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this. No, and go on to my operation.
And so one is the, can you do the accent, right? So how well can you make the scene seem credible? But then it's the...
I don't know who Cobra Commander is.
Really?
I don't know who he is.
I
know Operation Cobra. I know what Operation Cobra... I mean, what Cobra... Isn't Cobra like some type of American conspiracy group?
I feel like we had completely... And you're like, I'm just going to roll with this. No, and you did fine. You went with context clues.
Cobra. It's like Nixon era of like Cobra...
Don't know if you're kidding or serious.
No, I'm serious.
Okay, so time out, kind of like, are you kidding or serious?
No, I don't know what Cobra
Okay, so
Commander...
G.I. Joe, which actually might be fun. So, G.I. Joe is a American cartoon made in, like, I think the late 70s, early 80s. The quote me on it specifically, but you know, it seemed to be pro-American propaganda, selling toys, and you know, American top of the world kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
that decade.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the thing is that Cobra was the terrorist organization, the bad guys that G.I. Joe fought against. And it was meant to be kind of a little bit more serious, a little bit silly moments where Cobra Commander is.
Is
it's a
G.I.
play-
Joe a movie or a television series?
It was a TV cartoon series, which later became had cartoon
MASH.
movies.
No, it didn't become MASH. MASH is something else.
MASH is something else. That's a
Okay.
Vietnam. Well, no, Korean War, I believe.
Oh.
And they managed to keep it going for several seasons.
I got my American history all like,
No, you're okay. Apparently,
Lopsided.
you mentioned that you don't watch TV that often.
yeah.
I don't know too much about.
It's the intelligent box. Go on, bro.
No, it's okay. This is good because now. if
More
they see-
intelligent than me, you know? That's all I can say.
Well, what is intelligence? It's like verbatim, like unless you see a debate where they ad lib, but even then, it's like, is it really curt? I mean, if it's their own thoughts, synthesizing information, then you would be able to say that you're being exposed to intelligence. But then it's just, you know, what measures are you looking for to gauge intelligence?
The smartest commercials.
Define smart.
Like Super Bowl smart.
Okay, oxymorons, and I still have to study what that means. No, you're good. It's and so now it's like, what's the next step with that? So tell me more about these Super Bowl intelligent commercials. And you're like, man, let me tell you. And now that you stalled for like 3 seconds, it's like, bum bum bum, and so it's the you start pulling out random stuff and throw it out there. Unfortunately, I'm not prepared, and so that sometimes suggests like, hey, are you ready for ad lib and improvisation? And
What are we ready for today? We've had our caffeine, but what's next?
it's playing, and so going off of the counseling scene, right?
Yeah.
The counseling skit, making sure I'm in frame. The essence is that you can do multiple things with multiple things. So for example, context clues, because you're like you just ran with it, and you're like, Cobra Commander is the main bad guy villain, but he's being surrounded by people that sometimes don't really trust him and try to. There's a power struggle within his organization, and so he's fighting against his own henchmen sometimes,
Oh, okay.
or his lead henchman. And the thing is that sometimes it's just really silly how he gets defeated, and he's always the bad guy that's running away. And so it's meant to be like a farce kind of thing. Robot Chicken is a skit kind of clay animation show that gets the action figures and whatnot. I think some clay, but mostly action figures, and moves around those action figures and shows violence, comedy, and scenes based around those things.
So
And
it's related to the thing that you just mentioned before.
coming back, so Cobra Commander, and they'll take those TV shows from old and recycle them and tweak them around. It's like, hey, what if we did something with this? And some of it is not kid friendly. Some of it is not.
Well, that's war.
We all had.
That's war for you, like GI
Close.
Joes and Cobra. That sounds like a kind of battles and stuff.
No, it is. But then it's the
power struggles among groups and.
So what they did is they're like that was actually the TV show, The Essence. I don't know if you're kidding or serious. So so Robot Chicken played around with that, and so you see them being, for example, in one scene they're being interviewed, and it's like, yes, one time we fought for the control of the Weather Dominator, and both Cobra Commander, or like the GI Joes and the Cobras, are discussing how, like, yeah, that was actually a pretty fun experience. We're skating on the ice. The Weather Dominator was moving back and forth. This multi-billion-dollar piece of equipment that can destroy the planet, and we're playing ice hockey with it, with laser guns, and
Sure.
it was just interesting, right?
Mhm.
Or they compared like SEAL Team 6
with robot chickens in the audience.
Well, Robot Chicken is just a concept where this mad scientist is just torturing / forcing his chicken to watch random TV media. And so I don't know what it's just this weird show where some people, yeah. And so as you're going through that, a different way that they went with that
Mhm.
was instead of just the interview style, they had where was I going with this?
You're talking about the ice
There's
scene,
like
right?
two, no, and so there's one was Cobra Command fighting against SEAL Team 6, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what Cobra Command did in a different skit is that so the joke with G.I. Joe and Cobra is that they are really incompetent and inept, and so they're shooting at each other, they keep missing each other, no one actually dies. Like, stuff blows up, but no one dies, right? So Cobra Command gets a hold of like a real terrorist organization and has G.I. Joe having a fight against that terrorist organization, and stuff hits the fan really quickly. And so Cobra, like G.I. Joe, realizes just how unprepared they are for actual combat and everything else when they're fighting against a real terrorist organization
Yeah.
like ISIS or Al Qaeda. And it was
Or the
just,
child kidnapping networks.
don't have enough context to do that joke, but or to address that in a formal way. But okay, so there's that aspect, right? And then the Cobra Command ends up running into SEAL Team 6, and SEAL Team 6 comes in and just wrecks everyone. And because they're the ones that took care of Osama bin Laden.
They
I
could
believe.
finish the job that
Correct.
G.I. Joe couldn't
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, and so so what happens is that might be a chance to just take like an idea, just like the skit for the counseling ad lib. It's like, hey, okay, we tried it this way. What do we do with it now? Well, just like Robot Chicken played with looking at, say, for example, pop culture references and tweaking it and doing different things with it. Like, hey, what happens if G.I. Joe, like, fought against a real terrorist organization and they just went with it? Or in us, like, hey, what
And
if
he
we
forgot to bring his weapons.
Well, no, they brought their weapons, but everything just literally hit the fan really quickly.
He just brought the rubber bullets.
They actually have lasers, but yeah, no, it's like essentially there's nothing you can do. So
You aim with the lasers and then you just shoot rubber bullets.
yeah. No, okay, so probably the next thing is, okay, it's counseling. Do you want to play with that and try a different format? Like maybe it's like, hey, what if we go with SAG? What if we go with...
Okay, wait, so back to what we were at. So the
Yes.
captain, what's the guy's name again? Captain something? No, the
I'm like Captain
Commander or...
Cobra Commander.
Cobra
yeah.
Commander, okay, so Cobra Commander.
It might be like coming back and finding stuff
He
that
has
has
stuff-
reference
Yeah.
points, yeah.
So he has,
I was going to get my phone out and show this to you. I'm like, my phone's recording.
no, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah, no.
So,
for
okay.
context, yeah.
So now I know the context. So now let's try that commander again.
Yeah.
He comes in and he leaves with a signature. He goes, finds out more stuff about his operation, and then they tell him his identity and his role. So now he finds out, what was his identity and what was his role, and then he comes back and then he
Okay, so
wants to
Cobra
find out.
Commander is waiting for his therapy session.
Yeah.
And the doctor comes back in and, how do you say, schwashish? Yeah. Why not? So in this case, it's like having fun with David because it's like, okay, how do we help grow your skills?
Okay.
And so, let's run.
Okay.
So you've left, you come back in, and I'm like, okay, I'll just get into my scene.
Thank you for signing it, doctor. I went back.
Hold on. Are you the doctor? Because we started the scene as you being the
We're
doctor.
both doctors.
I'm Cobra Commander. I came in for my therapy session.
No, that's me. Wait a minute. I just
Okay,
got.
time out. Where are you going with this?
I just went and got my identity. I showed them the signature.
Yeah.
They told me my identity. Well, they told me about the operation first. They always do.
Okay.
And then I asked about my identity, and they told me my identity over there. So
You're
I'm
building
here.
this skit for me, so that
Yeah.
way I can like interact with you
Yeah.
on it. Like you can sometimes ad lib and improv. It's like, but my impression was that I was Cobra Commander and then
No, I'm Cobra Commander.
No, it's okay. It's like now we can switch. It's like okay,
Yeah.
did you want to start here or did you want
Wait a minute. Is Cobra Commander the counselor or the counselee?
You're okay. If only two
Wait a
people look
minute.
at this. Okay, so when we entered in, right, the essence was having Dr. Schruff, because it was just S noises, getting ready to sit down with Cobra Commander, and him going through a counseling session. At least that was my impression.
So what could Cobra Commander possibly counsel the doctor? I thought we were switched.
You're gonna look at this, and your wife's gonna be like, "Honey, where were you guys going with it? I thought it was this, and it's okay. This is fine."
Yeah.
Okay, no.
So,
and
so
it's
who's
like,
the patient and who's the doctor?
the original intention was, it sounded like it was interesting, where the Cobra Commander just got confused. Like the doctor comes in, just like before, for the last skit, last week, where the doctor ends up becoming the patient. It's like, was I not happy? Where am I supposed to go? Am I the person with the dream or not?
I thought I was Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
I'm losing my head with this operation.
So what do you want to do? Yeah, do you want
Wait
to
a minute. Wait a minute.
Okay, hold on.
The-
Are we timing in, or are we still timing out, trying to figure
Timing
this?
in.
Okay, so catch me up. When am I? What are you?
I just found out.
Okay, we're
that
still timed out. We're still timed
Yeah.
out. So
I just found out that the paper that I had,
yes.
that you signed.
Okay. So I'm technically Cobra Commander right now. That was that last skit that we did. So you came in as a doctor. You're making demands on me. I'm like, what are you doing? I am here for my therapy session. Why am I therapizing you?
I brought the wrong paper. I
Yeah.
brought the wrong paper. I really wanted like an application. I wanted an application. I don't need any counseling
Sir,
session.
I am here for my
I'm a doctor.
therapy session.
What would I need a therapy session for? I'm here.
I'm dealing with dissociation from reality, doctor. You're supposed to help me last time I checked. Why am I paid to help you? Join my organization today. No, and so timing, like the timeout. So where do you want to go? So it's okay.
I'm looking for.
So
I brought an application, but I'm not necessarily knowing because of my identity was screwed up.
How
and
about
my
this? Okay, so
role
you're
was-
starting all the way at the beginning. So the scene under my impression was I was Cobra Commander getting ready to do a therapy session. Because we kind of started way too early. I'm like, what? I thought I was going to break in, but you're like, we're doing this. I'm like,
I had an
and then
identity
you
fugue.
sat down
I had
and
an identity fugue where I thought I was commander. So I had to go back to.
So were
wait
you
a
the
minute.
doctor first, and then you're like, hey, sign this, and now everyone's confused, but in a interesting,
Yeah.
like, okay. No, and it's okay. Maybe you're playing off of that. And so now that we are fleshing out, and so sometimes if you're ad-libbing or improvising on stage, it's like, you can see it in your head, but the thing is that communicating with actors, like I'm here to work with you, right? I'm here to have some fun too. And so, you know, if we're both on two different pages, like I remember doing a skit in high school, and like the guy wasn't able to
Two
express
different
it.
pages, right?
Yeah, and so it's like he's like saying like, okay, there's going to be a nuclear bomb, and then he's like, look, and he's like, oh, and I'm just like staring at him, and you know, our teacher was like, you guys didn't communicate.
Yeah.
And so, no, you did fine with the energy and everything else. It's because now we're building off of it, right? I'm trying to get direction so I can be like, hey, what was that? So that way I can maintain continuity.
It was Strongsa dreaming he was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming he was Strongsa.
Yeah, no. And so now when you come back into the scene, I can just roll with it, but it's like do I assume that you're the doctor that's confused?
Isn't it
or-
two roles? Like it's either the real man or the butterfly. Like which one is it?
I'm
And it's
trying to
like-
work with you right now. I'm like, guys? No, you're gonna look at this and you're like, yeah.
It was a
fair
Chinese
enough.
dream.
No, okay. No, and so when we clock back in, it's like you're
Okay, we
walk
go.
back.
Yeah.
So how do you want to frame the scene? So basically, the doctor had walked out. He got the signature. Cobra Commander.
Should we
wrote
try
the
to
sig-
rescue the butterfly or the man?
This is your scene because I'm confused, and so I'm trying to grasp like where I'm at in the scene. So if we're continuing where I'm Cobra Commander, there's that one continuity part. He's been confused. He's signed off on something. What was that about Doom, right? And you go off. You found something.
Have you heard about the caterpillar that was impatient?
I'm afraid to ask, but no. No, what happened with the caterpillar?
Okay,
Yeah.
so a caterpillar that was impatient,
Is this you on like?
No.
caffeine?
The caterpillar that wasn't patient.
No, there's a.
This is the caterpillar that wasn't patient. So
Oh
so
my God.
so the caterpillar that wasn't patient.
Celsius 300 milligrams of caffeine.
He started to grub,
Yeah.
and then he went off to his tree, and then
Grabbing some caffeine. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So then he started noticing that other people were like building chrysalis, other caterpillars.
Chrysalis. Okay,
Chrysalis,
or
yeah.
chrysalis, or
Yeah. There was just like building those structures.
Hmm?
And so, but this was an impatient one. This was an impatient
Yeah.
caterpillar. So then he always asking the questions he found out that they were metamorphosizing,
Yeah.
and he wanted to metamorphosize too. But then he was an impatient one, right? So it's like, but it takes 2 weeks, right, for one of those bugs to like when they're in the chrysalis or chrysalis or whatever it's called,
Mhm.
and then to develop and then to be a properly formed butterfly. So then
I'm still stuck in the whole like 150 milligrams of caffeine. I'm like, huh.
So he starts building. He starts building his own structure,
I'm sorry.
but inside he's like so impatient. So it's like he's just thinking like is it built yet? Am I transformed already?
I'm trying to stay calm and just listen. I yelled at someone else the other day. I'm like, where are you going with this explanation?
Yeah. So he just was very very impatient, very very impatient. And then after like just like a harangue of just like in there like in the
I swear there were
structure.
no other things but just caffeine in the other thing. And so I don't think he drinks caffeine. You're doing wonderful.
So after 5 hours of it, he realizes it's still the first day, and he has like 14 more days to go.
Yeah.
So he starts he breaks free, right? And he says, "I'm a butterfly," right? It's only the first day,
Yeah.
right? But he only has it's not formed yet, He hasn't formed
They
much.
technically slightly liquefied at that point. 'Cause
Yeah.
They get liquefied and then rearrange themselves, and then they become this crazy creature.
Right. So it was like a slimy half caterpillar, half.
Is that really what
butterfly.
happened, or was that?
It's really happened. It really happened. And that's the caterpillar that was impatient. He never became a butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except in name only.
Except in his imagination for a couple seconds, but then when he tried to break free, it was just a slimy mess.
Yeah.
Like.
No, I don't know if you're kidding or serious. So like because I'm gullible, naive / like I can imagine that because it's like the.
He's very impatient, by the way.
So why did that come up? I'm afraid to ask. There's a episode of not Doctor Who, but Dr. House MD, where the Dr. House spikes gives Wilson speed in his caffeine.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
just the kind of erratic, kind of interesting, kind of like, hey, is this how you normally are? And it's good because you're no longer having to worry about your son, so So I'm trying to like track and go like, how are you? You're doing fine. It's
Yeah, a little bit sweaty, a little bit
like
a little bit like slime, a little bit.
No. Okay, so you brought up the impatient caterpillar. Was
Yeah.
that with relation to anything, or?
Like the dreaming he was a butterfly. The Dronks, the dreaming he was a butterfly.
Oh, that.
I don't
was
think
Steiner
I don't
Dream?
think he became a butterfly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reference there.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm like, how am I on
Slimy
stage?
mess.
Yeah. So, did you want to continue with the ad-libbing of that skit, or do you want to try starting a different one?
Okay.
Or did you want to try playing around with a different scene, and so it's like the contours, like, hey, you had a chance to really be expressive, which is really cool. Did you want to try exploring that in a different way, or going with the?
Let's try idea number 2. Either a modification of the previous one,
Yeah.
or like erase and then like a blank page.
Okay. Do you want to be the therapist, or do you want to be the counselee? Do you want to switch roles this time? You can always be like
Your accent is better, so I
like that, and that might be the reason why to play with it. So it's like one idea that came to mind right now is be the counselor that tells a person that like there's something wrong, or do you know what projection is?
Yeah, you speak out loud.
No, that
And you
closely.
project a feeling.
When you project your problems onto someone else, it means that you have a certain set of problems, but then you're saying like, hey, you know what? You actually act out really badly at times, And it's
Thank
like,
you.
no, that's you. That's totally. I think that's
Appreciate
necessary.
that.
Now I'm like thinking of it said accurately because now someone else is gonna be like, I don't think they use that term properly, or that's what it means.
Project. So you project.
Projecting onto
so
someone
what?
else's
So 1%.
life. Your problems, you assume someone else has your problems.
Yeah. So
Yes.
let's say I have a job I don't like,
Yeah.
and then like I'm really angry
Do
about
you
it
hate
all
your
day.
job? I mean,
And then
I
I-
don't exactly. Yeah.
And then and I come home and then like the dinner's late and then like I start asking like you must hate me because you always have like the dinner late, you know, and then just like projecting the emotions that I feel, seeing it in other people, like when it's not even there sometimes.
I think I might need to do a better job on expressing it. Well, I mean, if you're passive aggressive, right, and then you're thinking the other person's being passive aggressive, and it's like, hey, like, you're doing that because you don't like me right now, and you can't just bring it out into the open. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, and so that's kind of goes into
Yeah,
understanding.
that's kind of bad, but yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, in a relationship, in a marital relationship, probably pretty bad.
Yeah, no. He's married. He's happily married. You guys are, and so sometimes it's like if there is passive aggressiveness in the relationship, be okay to express yourselves. Now, if
And
you both
communicate.
have conflict, yeah,
Communication does well. Non-passive communication, direct, eye to eye, heart to heart,
fist to fist.
lock arm,
Yeah.
arm to arm.
Ah!
No, not that type of locking arm. Not connecting.
Okay, so I can be
Okay.
I'll be the council lead, and do you want to take it and see how it goes?
Okay, I'll be Doctor X.
Dr. Xavier, literally Dr. X.
EX. It's the X. Remember how we were talking about? Don't you remember we're talking about like the ice cream thing, where it's just like the person saw his X and then like the allergy.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's like
I'm Doctor EX.
we'll have to look at. Okay, Eddie Izzard it connects within his jokes, and so sometimes it's missing that context clue.
Yeah.
So okay, so X as in like okay,
EX,
so the
yeah. It's just an interesting name for a doctor. There's no other connection there.
no, it's gonna be like so doctor. You look vaguely familiar. You look like the one that gave my girlfriend like almost killed her, and they called so.
No, I got my I did all my education in Brooklyn. So if you've never been to Brooklyn, then we don't know each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm here to discuss my peanut allergies and how that's really affecting my ability to just really put myself out there at social events. And I'm just worried about dying.
Do you break up? I mean, do you break out?
Death.
Huh?
Death.
You've experienced death before?
Well, almost. I mean,
How you got to tell me about your first experience of
Well, I guess
overexposure.
you said break out with hives, right? So I guess technically, and then it's more like that kind of like got kind of glossed over with everything that's swelling up and just fear of dying. Kind of. I like peanuts though.
Do you have a
It's weird.
picture of when you swole up?
I didn't take a selfie. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like time out. It's like it's one of those moments where you can slip in like a joke, and it's like dear. And so
You didn't take
the
a selfie.
flavor. Yeah, no, it's like I probably could have time in. Maybe I should have taken a selfie. That is really bad though. It would be interesting though, like going like.
So then-
yeah, but no.
So who helped you, or how did you get
I
through
don't
that?
know.
or
I
past
kind of
that,
just
or-
got shoved into the end of the ambulance, so that's. And I like ice cream with the peanuts on top, and the nuts, and it's just been kind of disheartening to not be able to enjoy peanuts. It just seemed like it just happened one day, and yeah, chocolate sundaes with the peanut nut things on top with the,
Have you just tried switching to almonds? Or walnuts, or cashews, or...
You're allowed to put those on the ice cream?
Of course. Who's going to prevent you?
Oh my god.
Here, I got some right here.
How do you know that I'm not allergic to one of these?
We just try it. You'll be fine.
Starting to feel a little
I got some medication for you.
Damn, I'm playing the doom. Yeah, and so
Okay,
going from the so now it might be the fun part where you like how realistic do you keep it, like timing out, right? So do you go with the
I don't know what to do now.
immediate? No,
Should I call the ambulance again?
I can talk now, and you're like, man,
Oh, you
that's
can
really
talk.
fast. And so it's
That
like
thing works quicker than I thought.
yeah, I didn't think that either. Man, I feel better. Okay,
Okay,
and
so-
maybe hey, how much are those EpiPens? They're like $500 a piece.
But that was cashews and peanuts. Okay, so you can't eat cashews and you can't eat peanuts. Try
Try the
macadamia
good.
one.
I'm good. That was like tasty. Oh. Okay. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So macadamia, cashew, and peanuts. I think it's fair to say after.
I think I'm.
Let's
good
not
now.
try it again.
I do not want any more nuts on the. I'm good. You know what?
You know, I
wanna
only
live
have
more than-
I only have 2 assignments this week. I need 3 to keep my license. Can you come again tomorrow?
What are we doing tomorrow?
Same thing. We'll just do the same thing we did today.
I want to live. I mean, do you have more EpiPens?
We'll
You
talk
know,
about the things you.
Desperate people.
We'll talk about that
wanna
ice cream
live.
again. We'll talk about that ice cream again. Okay.
Can we? Am I
Just
paying
come
for
back
this, or is
tomorrow. Just come back tomorrow.
it- Okay. Yeah, no. And so it's just like the I guess mid flow into it. It's the. So that's the thing with acting, right? Sometimes you're like, well, where are we going with this? And you know, there's a common direction that's trying to be established, but then it's sometimes you play and then you find out like, oh, we can just be completely absurd here. Because I'm thinking like, you know, trying to keep.
I didn't know you were that allergic.
I didn't know that either, like in character, right? So, no, because my sister has a crazy allergy to like strawberries and other stuff, and so some people are just rapid. But then it's like, how quick do the EpiPen stuff work? So I don't know, but you know, we just now make it absurd and just completely mess with it, and just like let's just go and play. So that's why I stabbed it through.
And I didn't even give you strawberries.
Yeah, no, it's like but so that might be one thing we were
Which
supposed
the-
to go with projection,
Oh yeah, protect the feelings.
and I think it's because I just kind of walked out with something, and it's like,
But what feeling could a counselor have? Oh, I had a bad day, and so I kicked my dog, and so then
yeah,
like I was aggressive, and then like, hey, like, let me see, like, yeah, and then perceive the things that you're doing as aggressive towards me. Something like that. I mean, that's
I guess if you
Openly.
control it enough, it's like the ad-libbing where it's like, Jack, just act like a counselor that's getting counsel or counselee that's getting counseled by someone that seems to be projecting on you, and you're not like, and so you give me the instruction, I'm like, what do you mean by that? And
Well,
so
I
it's
think-
like, let's just play with it, and so what happens is because it's recording now, we can.
how
kinda-
about you're the
yes.
counselor, I'm the counselee, and you're doing projection.
No, I try it.
Let's try it. Yeah.
Or do you want me to? Okay, so
Yeah, you're the
modeling.
counselor, I'm the counselee.
Because Steve Furtick discussed like, okay, teaching by modeling as opposed to just telling you to do something, right? Okay.
What's the scene?
So you're receiving. Okay, I'm just gonna work with you. So David, I hear that. You know what? This whole intake thing is completely invalid. You know what? I think that.
That was
you're
like 2
getting-
hours of my time.
Yes, as well as mine.
Okay.
And sometimes we have to realize that, you know, I think you're a
What
very
type of
self-centered
intake was that?
patient.
Very what?
Self-centered patient, I'm sorry.
Self-centered.
Like, doctor, aren't I here for myself? No, David.
You did an intake. You're asking about me, and I'm telling you my problems. You're asking me.
But who's the properly trained professional here, David?
I'm taking your instructions.
Yes. And when I say that you're self-centered, you should listen to that.
Okay, I've listened. What else do you want to say?
Well, that's why we're here.
Okay, what's next? I'm
Well,
self-centered.
We're
That's
going
how
to
we're
discuss
starting.
our problems now. So basically,
Yeah.
there's identity.
I have identity problems. I admit.
Yes. And so sometimes it's like
Ay, ay, ay.
it starts from not being happy with your job. You
That's a big
listen
one.
to people, yeah, and so time out. It might be fun to kind of where it wraps around where like it actually does touch on the thing, but
That's fine. That's
then
fine.
you're like, okay, time out.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem.
And you just deal with the same people in and out. It's like, does anyone have different problems? Why can't I go do something else? And I just keep going. I mean, I would imagine that I, as in you, just keep going in and out just for a paycheck. And so I think that you need to go out and try something different. Have you gone out to smell the roses, David? Because technically Mark was last week.
The ones with butterflies on them and.
Yes, that's the pupating kind of gelatinous kind of things.
Oh, those.
Yes. You know what?
I
think
just
you
came back
should
from.
go out and do
came
more.
back from Oakland, so I think. But wait a minute. Is this a trick? Because if you're telling me to go out there and spend time on myself, when you just said that,
You know what, David? I think
I'm
that there's
self-centered,
having
then
more,
that's a trap again. Are you entrapping me?
well, that's a technical, like, lawyer kind of law, legalistic thing, but yes. But, no. I
Did
think
you even
that-
look at my intake?
Am I the
You
professional
just threw it
or
back
you?
there. That's something else.
Yes, it's my hands. And my hands hold your future, and sometimes your future seems bleak.
I just need your signature, man.
And yet, why do you need a signature? Do you need my affirmation, validation from a sort of surrogate parent person to make your life feel like it's complete? Because you know what? I think that you went through trying to go through a lot of schooling and doing a lot of
This
different
is a
work.
private. This is a private university.
but
You're just a
David-
private university counselor. I just need to do one counseling session with the university counselor for you to sign the paper that you threw over there that has the intake staple to it, and then I'll be able to proceed with my class. I'm trying to get a good grade here.
And
And you threw
aren't
away
we
my
all-
intake.
Yes, because the intake isn't as important as you are, David.
But that has the signature paper on it that I need to present to my professor.
You know what? You can tell your professor, like, hey, that guy told me to tell you to go lick a tree. Because
Are you being
trees-
self-centered?
I think you're finally getting it.
I think. Okay.
Yes. It's an
Okay,
evil, diabolical
You know what?
laugh.
We're both
Yes.
self-centered. How do we break free from it? Like from the chrysalis of self-centeredness.
I think we should go figure out our own lives.
But what if we're impatient and we just come out becoming a slimy mess?
I don't know about you, but I'm going to make this work, bro.
Can you wait 2 weeks in a chrysalis?
Chrysalis. Chrysalis. Oh my god. I guess
It's a slimy mess.
you had to see.
That's it. I'm just gonna tell my professor I'm just gonna fail the class.
Yeah, no, and so it's the
I'm
trying
not
to
gonna
stay.
recover that.
I guess coming back, right? There's trying to stay in universe, and when I think probably the last time I started straying out from that universe. So you, like, what is this scene looking for? What are we needing? And so
I need that signature. It's been the same thing since the beginning, bro. I just need that freaking signature.
And so now it's like, how well can you both play, right? It's like, you can't handle the signature. Like, do you deserve that grade? I don't think so, because you put in so many hours, but I don't think, like, that signature's worth it to you.
You're too self-centered to
you're-
sign anything.
No, you're too self-centered to hear the truth. That you're better than this, David.
Well, how can we break free from this chrysalis? Chrysalis. Chrysalis.
I'm sure it's like someone's like the Bible is, Lord's work and Job. In the book of Job, there's, to be fair, like sometimes you just.
He never even filled out an application. He was just signed up for it already.
Technically, yes. He got he got signed up. Satan said, like, you know what? Your servant Job that you keep prattling about, he only loves you and works with you because you bless him. You take away that blessing, all bets are off.
Go quit.
Yes.
He'll quit.
And you know what?
He would not be a fully formed Job.
But by the end of it, Book of James, count it with joy as you go through trials and tribulations because it'll help perfect you.
Mhm.
But I don't know if he was thinking about Job during that time when he wrote that. Or his future. I think he got killed by, was it beheading or?
James.
Yeah, Book of James, Jesus' brother.
Maybe like the early Christ followers had.
Yeah, he got killed, I think, but they all
Yeah,
get killed.
they were martyrs. They were precious martyrs. Yep.
Did he just give the thumbs up for like martyrdom?
No, because the first two
Jesus'
witnesses
yeah.
the first two witnesses in the Bible is Abel and Enoch. The first two witnesses in the Bible in Genesis, and so the first one is a martyr. That's Abel. The second one is a witness. He was raptured. Enoch.
I'm just like literally listening because I
Enoch
have
was.
I know those.
Enoch
points.
was raptured. Remember that? God took him.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I guess yeah.
So those are the first two witnesses. So they're
When you
they
say
are
witnesses, what do you mean?
they're witnesses that got approved of in the Book of Genesis. The first two.
Okay, and the definition of a witness is what?
People who give testimony that God confirms that it's actually good testimony. So about Abel, it mentioned that there's like a kind of like a precious blood of Abel, and then for Enoch, it's like because he walked with God, so it's like so God took him. So those are the first two that have
that
good,
Celsius.
for good testimony. So there are examples. So martyr is a positive thing, and then like that guy that got raptured, Enoch, it's also like a witness to us in the sense where like. Hey, if some person walks with God and he disappears, maybe possibly God took him. It's like a butterfly.
Sorry, like the immediate response of like he got taken up by someone.
Yeah.
Ideally, he was taken up by Enoch. Oh yeah, don't worry that he got taken up by Enoch.
He got taken up by God.
Like a lot of people
Enoch.
are getting taken up by God right now, and that guy wasn't exactly nice. Awkward moments, right? Like everyone just goes back to.
Well, he testified to a world according to like for what it was. So he didn't lie about what the world was, and he was inspired. So it wasn't like hateful. He wasn't projecting anything because he was just a servant. That's all he was. Abel and Enoch were both servants. So yeah. So back in just
no, you're good. It's one of those like I'm
some Genesis moments right there.
laughing because sometimes it's like the organic development, and so. You're coming out of your shell. This is good, like the high five moment. And so
Abel and Enoch, guys. Abel and Enoch.
And so it's a question of like stay away from the Celsius, or it's the trying to figure out like in a good way, like hey, like to taper down, amp it up. Just
they're fully formed servants, not slimy messes. Abel and Enoch.
I think they probably went through their refining period. Well, Abel worked the ground. Before harvest, and then got killed. Cain and Abel. Yeah. Well, no, he didn't work the ground. Well, he was the herdsman.
Yeah.
And that herdsman got killed by the farmers, which some people were mentioning as a metaphor for ancient history. The farmers eventually pushed out the herdsman with strength, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So back to trying to act. We've been playing around with the ad-libbing with the counseling.
Yeah.
So you're beginning to see kind of how stuff can kind of tweak around. So we went with more of the absurd. The first one that we did was trying to stay a very realistic approach. I thought that you were wanting the more realistic approaches because that kind of would play up to your strength of philosophy. But I guess technically, the ultimate goal was to try to get you out of your shell and to really be out there. And so
it's a thick shell.
Sorry? Yeah. No. You're actually doing fine. It's the can you do it now on command when someone's needing it? And so it might be, just like between the two of us, it's like, I ask you to do something, how well can you do it, and how does it look?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just both people learning how to grow through that. So that way, when you get like a different prompt, you have. Sometimes I go off of television. Sometimes it's just practice a skit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's our imaginations.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just playing enough times to be like, now as you go into a new thing, we're like, oh yeah, I know what to do with this. Or a short discussion and be like, hey, let's try this, and that. So, we played around with just the absurdist, which is where the guy immediately reacted to the EpiPen, like, hey, I'm better now. And it's crazy, right? You're like, that sounds silly, but that was the essence of it. Here we are accusing each
So
other
many
of,
allergies.
yeah, but the next one was, hold on. The therapist trying to project. And so, that could be a serious thing, or it could be silly, funny, but controlled versus silly, like all over the place, which it was seeming like where it was going.
We're all selfish.
The
That was my takeaway from that.
And so when we start introducing different items into it, it seems to be a mess. But now it's a question of how well do the actors react to it. And so I think I was trying to bring it back and focus on, staying grounded in I'm supposed to be projecting onto you. But you kind of push it around and then throw it back to me to where it's like, oh, it's your class. And I think you're doing better on kind of taking that reality and just running with it. And so me, I'm like, what am I doing here? And it's like, you know what, I better engage this guy. I'm supposed to project on him. And then let's bring in the father issues and then just the classes. And so I think by the end of it, we'll look at it and we'll be like, yeah, no, I don't know what we were on. Apparently the Celsius just hit both of us. And me, like asleep, you 150. Did you really only drink half of that?
Yeah, half of that.
Do you normally
I'm
drink
gonna go
caffeine?
drink more.
No,
normally
no.
drink
Oh
caffeine.
God, no, please, no. You
Just a
seem
little
like...
more.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a clip of House MD where his friend gets hooked up on speed. Oh God. I think he just wants to see how this is gonna go. So I'm abandoning ship at 7 o'clock because I want to go home and sleep. But yeah.
I'm pretty much done with it.
God,
Bring the heat, but it says
it's
this is
thermogenic. What?
CHEAT. CHEAT.
Celsius and heat.
Heat.
I don't.
Bring the cheat. Or it says eat. Caterpillars just eat.
So
Eat.
playful jabs versus sarcasm versus, and so it's the trying to keep sarcasm down because personally, like it's cheap jabs, but it's
Yeah.
fun, and so it's trying to not hurt anyone. My whole concern is like just making sure, like, are you okay?
Yeah, it's just liquid.
Yeah, but that's 300 milligrams caffeine that you just took over a course of like an hour.
Is it cheating? Or is
It's
it
heating,
overeating?
thermogenic,
Or
but
drinking,
then
I
there's
mean.
like I don't know how your system's reacting, but it seems different. You're more laconic, and now you're not. But it's question: can you take that energy? Like I remember.
I'm not gonna overheat or anything.
So, you remember taking a Jaeger bomb once and on a blind date. Well,
Mhm.
I was talking with someone and like online, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, let's do a double date and see if she has a
Let's
friend."
turn on the light just for the light.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that might have been why.
Let me turn on the light over here too.
Yeah, please.
Just to brighten things up, now that. we're
And
more
so,
into the.
we did the double date thing, and well, no, we didn't do a double date. I met it with her. I thought it was just her by herself,
Yeah.
but she brought two friends, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man, we could have done a double date. But I was shy in person, and then they were like, hey, would you like to try a Jaeger bomb? And that's Jaeger plus Red Bull.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I remember this is because after I took the Jaeger bomb, I'm like talking to all three of them at the same time and tracking well, and that salvaged the date.
They're all
That's
listening at
not-
the same time.
It's more like engaging three people at the same time,
Oh, okay.
and so it's just like, hey, how's it
You're
going?
talking quick.
You're doing good, and you go,
Yeah.
wow, that's really amazing. How's it going here too? I'm enjoying my time here.
That's very
And-
effective.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I got loosened up enough to get on a second date. That
Yeah.
didn't go well. We'll leave that aside. Her friend ran out.
Well, at least
and I
you
was
engaged the
concerned
other
about
two.
friend, yeah.
Yeah.
But but that seemed like it got really misinterpreted. But sorry.
It's gonna be
So
okay.
So Jaeger bombs. It's like I always
Yeah.
went with that. So this, I'm like, should we use that, David, or not?
It's the surprise element.
Yes. So I'm like you just straight the other part. Okay, but we're good.
You might as well
Okay.
advertise. Okay,
Or
there.
use, yeah.
That's for
I
our,
love
for
those people. Let's have them on.
our make-believe sponsors.
Yeah. been nursing that, or like been drinking
Mm-hmm.
Celsius for like the last week and a half or something at this point.
Yeah, zero sugar.
Yeah, but 300 milligrams of caffeine. I'm trying to keep it underneath 500 and try and catch up on sleep. I only managed to do some sleep from Tuesday to Wednesday. Wednesday to Thursday did not work too well.
Mm.
So after this, I'm gonna go home and crash out.
Were you dreaming butterflies,
No, I was dreaming just
or of your ex and you had butterflies in your stomach?
That's a sensitive topic moment, but no. Yeah, like it's gonna be like that. He's normally not evil, but this is funny. This is what happens when he doesn't have a son. It's like, oh my god. No, yeah, we all have lives, we all have issues, and sometimes you're trying to do ministry and go forward, and it might be trying to make sure to bring it back to Christ. But sometimes it's doing skill development.
How's your ministering to the Lord going this week?
Working on the prophetic ministry? Oh, whatever that means, which in this case
Is it moving forward?
will define forward. And so my faith walk is trying to learn to hear from God better, and is there a message to deliver, or do I need to work on the hearing?
It's a little lopsided, like it moves forward, but just like not all as a whole.
And then there's that question like, are you Pentecostal, charismatic / Baptist? What is your background?
My background
But like different
is the
flavors.
white wall.
Yeah. No. And so it's the listening to God, and so that's been interesting.
Like just growing up, like we'll just say like
Yeah.
elementary school was some Catholic stuff from my mom's side, and then like middle school, high school was some Baptist, but like from the Hispanic side of things, so everything was in Spanish. And then in college, I came across like a home church environment and stuff like that. So it's kind of an interesting mix right there.
Is it more Pentecostal? Is it like moving in the Spirit? Is it more?
It's just what you've seen. You've been there once or twice, or you've met people that have gone there too. So it's just what you've seen. If you sense that it's a certain way, then it probably is something of that certain way.
I'm like.
It may not be the way, but it's.
No. It's kind of like one of those moments where it's like. I'm trying to get a feel for it, so it's the essence of hearing from God and trying to convey, and I've seen him show up like of course a friend's still dealing with marriage issues, but for a few moments a week or two ago, he's asking me like really intervene and be there and show up, and it's like I feel like God saying like no, like he's trying.
It's not the rapper, right? He's not a rapper guy.
No, but it's like going deeper with God, and so. Oh yeah, no, unrelated to David's or Scott's ministry.
Okay.
And so, even his mom got involved, and it's like you need to be a good Christian guy. You said you'd be show. I felt like I was saying like no, like this is it. And it's kind of like, oh, this is awkward. But the thing is that there's still rockiness there, but I feel like he's gotten a much stronger foundation in God to where it's fine. And so I felt like God was leading, like God wanted that foundation with him, not to rely on other people, because it seemed like that really trying to bring other people in when you need to rely on God. So that's been interesting to try to
make his faith stand on his own 2 feet, something like that.
Yes, because he'll preach, but then it's like, where's your relationship with God kind of moment? And doing that different times, like just there's it's interesting using the dramatic with the prophetic, or like just trying to minister to people.
Yeah.
As in, like, sometimes I'll go up and just start talking with someone and just be exuberant. It's like, I forgot yesterday. It's just, I'll do that. It's
Jack
just,
exuding exuberance.
Yes, it's like, how's it going? Or like, I don't know. I think someone I was trying to get involved with the parking lot ministry, like, hey, would you like to not just work with kids or work with greeting, but would you also like to yell at cars too? We got an amazing ministry for you.
A lot of opportunities everywhere.
Yes.
Now accepting applications.
Because not only do you get to lovingly greet people, but you get to yell at them too if they try to run you over. And expressing sometimes our angst and passions and concerns all in one fell swoop.
And you can work on your voice projection.
Yes.
Try to make it go right through the window.
Honestly, there's a funny story. So in greeting ministry, right? We're doing like outside and greeting people, and I was asked to go out to the side and greet on the street because
you do really good on projection, by the way.
So the next day, my leader's like, "Hey, Jack, people shouldn't be able to hear you through their window that's rolled up and closed while they're driving the street. Just make the motions like God bless you as opposed to God bless you to cut through to make sure they could hear over the radio that's blasting in their car."
Isn't the purpose to be a projector?
Yeah, no. It was just funny. We're wandering around. But no, it's I guess coming back the essence of why we're here to grow and develop skills, but focused on Christ. And so, something as simple as like the counseling skit. Like, I think I was thinking at one point where, where does Christ come in? And so it's like you can imagine the therapist kind of taking a step back. It's like, David, you mentioned, for example, like let's ad lib where
Yeah.
the counselor is looking at you, you're sitting down together, and
Mhm.
you've explained your faith at times, and then you're still dealing with a lot of stuff. And so now the counselor tries to bring it to Christ, and it's like, so let's go ahead and time it.
Okay.
So David,
Yeah.
I've been listening to you, and you mentioned
Yeah.
that there's a lot of confusion in your life, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of angst about several different things. And
Identity,
it's not to say
fathers,
Yeah.
just a bunch of different things.
career transition,
Career transition, X's.
X's and O's.
Yeah. Dot.
Yeah, John Wick. Like, oh my God, what's going on now? But they stole my car.
Maybe
Dude,
not
where's
John
my
Wick, but yeah, all the other stuff. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I deal with ADD moments at times. Just kind of brain goes scroll moment, and then.
No, I've seen a John Wick movie. I didn't like that, but okay.
Really? What did you not like about
I
it?
think he was too. I won't even say it. Yeah.
Wait, no. Did you see John Wick
I-
all the way through?
I actually had to stop because it had too much Russian mafia stuff. I had to stop.
Like, how far into it did you go?
Until the Russian mafia came in and then just started to do a bunch of things.
Like Russian Mafia, like where he got his car jacked from him and his dog was killed, or
Oh my
did it start?
goodness.
Did it go?
Memories are flooding back in.
No, I don't know if you're kidding or serious. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, but no. So coming back to the point.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about you telling me about your faith and how God comes through, and I'm more atheistic, maybe agnostic. I'm not sure. I do know that you believe strongly in this God of who you profess to be in, and have you thought about relying more on Him, asking Him about identity? Because I started doing some Judeo-Christian research, and it seems like it's all over the place. But you're supposed to be a light on the hill.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's good to talk to God about everything.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning it was Adam and then Eve, and then Adam and Eve talking to God about everything in the garden, maybe just talking about everything. So it's a very good pattern of just hey, you're supposed to talk to God about everything in this garden of life, so to speak. Why am I talking to you again?
Because you're mentioning that you have several issues, and I just thought that, as we're trying to find solutions, I'm thinking that maybe it might be good to stabilize things with your God.
Oh. Yeah, so whatever problem you encounter, it's always good to talk to God about everything.
Mhm.
Whether it's whatever.
But what about you? Have you asked your God about your problems? And
Yeah.
Does he talk?
Yeah, like my job and
Uh-huh.
my stuff with wife and stuff with child and stuff with home stuff or different things, and it's just
Mhm.
good to whether he talks or doesn't, or whether he answers my questions or he doesn't, I think he has the right timing for things.
Yeah.
So it's just if I pray for something and I'm consistent in it enough where it's David asking versus just a half-baked attempt from David, is he'll answer the first one and the second one is just open. It's still open. It's an open case still until I put more into it, or until David puts his heart into it.
Yeah.
Then that gets pushed forward to God, and then he'll answer it in his time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
God doesn't accept half-baked things in the way that, he just doesn't accept it like we would want him to sometimes, because sometimes we can't put our whole heart into it because we're just divided.
So a person of faith versus unbelief, or
No, they're not necessarily unbelief. It's not ready for that question to form.
Okay. What about for you and you're figuring things out? I think it might
like
be.
Job, like sometimes like Job, it took him some time.
Uh-huh.
He had lots of questions, and maybe even the questions weren't fully formed. Job's questions weren't fully formed, so he had to go into like dialogues with like different friends and different things like that. He had a need for God, but he didn't really see it. So God brought in these three other friends where he could like dialogue and entertain space and time for him for a while,
Yeah.
until he was ready for it. Then at the end, God answers beyond the questions that he could even ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, he doesn't even have questions at the end. He's just says, okay, you know, God is right.
But what about you?
So his
You.
yeah. So with the questions that I've presented to God wholeheartedly, I've gotten a good response.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
what?
Wife, child, the city where I live in,
Is that like 40%, 50%, 2%?
overwhelmingly as like better than what I would have drafted on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about now? Where do you feel you can go with this? Like asking God thing.
It just depends on
The irony in my case. Okay.
yeah. Well, I might not even have a fully formed question yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like for jobs, I am doing like sending out applications and things like that. But I don't think I have a fully formed question yet because my heart's not fully complete in it. So I think this is still a development stage.
What's a question that you're leaning towards?
Like Lord, what's my profession, occupation that you want me to do for the rest of my life? Is there one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a half formed question right now.
Is there anything that maybe it might be better to just ask, what do you want me to do right now?
I haven't got to that point
Drama.
yet. Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet. Yeah.
No. Okay. Tell you what, let's, in our case, it's 7 o'clock. I'm
On the dot.
slightly-
Yeah.
No, and it's good. So, God bless you guys. We'll try it again later. And he is animated, so go team. May avoid Celsius.
No, don't avoid it.
You know what? We'll try it. Okay.